Hi everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. In today's video, I'm sharing how to analyze the Bazi chart. If your daily master is a Yin Earth called Ji in Chinese, born in the winter season, let's start by sharing the common personality traits for winter-born Yin Earth people. Because Yin Earth represents this nutritional farming soil, so it's super inclusive, absorbent of all kinds of environmental influences, and it's quite stable because Earth is not like a super shifty or changeable type of material. It's very stable and reliable. And on top of it, Yin Earth people also are super sensitive to its surroundings, translating into like super high EQ type of trait because they're sensitive about other people's feelings and emotional needs. But because the dominant element for winter is water, and if we think about the whole 10 spirit system in Bazi, compare earth with water because earth suppresses water. Water is equivalent of this merchant 10 spirit energy. And merchant is kind of our very material, down to earth, very practical and realistic type of mindset and how we think and approach things. Trying to further illustrate it from a contrasting perspective, the nurturer spirit is the element that grows us, right? So in this case, fire is the energy that grows and supports earth. And in essence, fire and water are two conflicting energies. And in this case, fire represents the nurturer versus the water represents the merchant. So nurturer is by default the opposite traits of a merchant type of mindset, right? So the nurturer type of, if you have a heavy fire type of nurturing element in your Bazi, that person essentially won't be super realistic or materialistic or very concrete goal driven. Take that type of approach in life. In contrast, they're more like very they have lofty goals. They're very idealistic. It's about helping others. How am I healing the world? Like very ambitious goals in life versus the down to earth, very practical type of goals. So that's kind of how we see the different mindset and what's the dominant mode of thinking in the Bazi based on kind of the proportion of your different elements in the Bazi chart. But tying this all back, I would summarize it by saying winter-born Yin Earth people, they're high EQ, they're grounded, very stable, and very smart in terms of leveraging their resources, and super practical and realistic. But in terms of analyzing the Bazi chart, we know that the foundational environment for winter, like November to January birth month, the type of environment based on the solar terms are very like wintry, snowy, and wet type of default mode. That has the image of a kind of a muddy or frozen earth. It's too wet and too cold. And because of that initial risk, it's preventing Yin Earth to do its job, which are either producing life like flowers, plants, or grain that feed us, or kind of summarizing, condensing all the good essence of the soil and in turn grow mineral like the metal energy, such as precious metals or mineral in the earth. But because it's frozen and muddy type of tendency, it'll be very difficult for this Yin Earth person to do either of those jobs, which are kind of the ideal path in life. That's why for winter-born Yin Earth people, the number one favorable element you want to see in the remaining 6 spots in your Bazi is a yang fire, because yang fire does its job of warming up the whole environment, so the earth can actually meet the prerequisite of me, myself in a balancing state before we can talk about is your main focus to produce, looking for the wood energy, right? Produce plants, or is your main focus is to produce metal, which is the earth produced metal type of track. So it has different focal points. But regardless, having a very strong and useful yang fire in this chart will make sure this Yin Earth has the right type of balancing environment to begin with. And when I say useful yang fire, how that might play out in a bazi is in the top row, right? 1, 2, 4. You have 1 or 2 yang fire element showing up, and on top of it, this yang fire also has a really strong rooting system on the bottom row. So either like preferably positionally sitting right underneath itself, it has either wood or fire type of element, because those are all supporters that make the yang fire more strong and usable. So that's how we analyze the Bazi chart. The yang wood and yang earth element, those are sidekicks. What I mean by that is, on the condition you have kind of lopsided energy of certain type of disease, then those are corresponding medicine to treat the disease. But if you don't have those lopsided risks, then they're kind of optional. They're not as important or critical as the yang fire. So in terms of this yang wood, that's on the condition your bazi has too much of a soil. It's like a large quantity amount of frozen soil in the winter time. Even though the quantity is huge, it's still, because it's frozen, it's useless. So I want to see both this yang wood and yang fire working together, right? The yang fire to warm up the soil, and then you have this yang wood to loosen up the soil to make it useful. So that would be a good ideal situation if that's a risk of your bazi. But if you don't have a large quantity of soil, this guy is kind of optional. It's not super like a must-have in a bazi. And in terms of this yang earth, that's the medicine to treat the risk of too much water problem, especially for this November and December birth months, because the main energy for that position number 6 is either yin water or yang water. It might run the risk of too much water rushing and gushing through this soil, and it might actually blow the whole thing away, and then you're kind of quite being damaged by this strong influence of water energy. In that case, you want to see yang earth, that hard soil, showing up in your bazi, because that's kind of like forming a dam, protecting this daily master from being rushed away, and forming that type of a hard, solid soil barrier to protect itself, because it's the same as myself type of element. So that's how we analyze bazi. But the main takeaway is we want to see fire, especially right dosage of yang fire showing up in a winter-born Yin Earth bazi, and that will make your life in a it constitutes a very good and balanced bazi chart. So next episode, I'll show you some case studies to further illustrate today's point. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.